Most marketing doesn't fail because marketers aren't trying. If your messaging doesn't have structure, your brand won't have direction. This is going to land big. I was trying to build messaging without knowing what the message needed to be. They're the ideas you want people to remember. When marketers mix these layers together, messaging gets all muddy. Everything starts clicking. If you skip this part, everything becomes noise. Before message pillars, everything felt like effort. After message pillars, everything started feeling like momentum. Hey everyone, thanks for clicking into this video. If you don't know me yet, I'm Colin. I'm a full-time Chief Marketing Officer and former marketing director. I like to get on here and just chat about my thoughts and things going on in my marketing and branding world. Let's get right into the topic for today. Early in my career, I kept running into the same annoying problem. I'd build campaigns that looked good. Nice visuals, good copy, solid ideas. Stuff I was genuinely proud of. And every time I'd think, okay, this is the one. This is going to land big. But then, nothing. A trickle of engagement, a couple comments, no real movement. No real momentum. And I couldn't figure out what I was missing. It took me years, and honestly a lot of frustration, before I finally understood the real issue. I was trying to build messaging without knowing what the message needed to be. I was guessing. I was being clever. I was doing what sounded good in the moment, instead of reinforcing the things that actually mattered. Once I learned how to build real message pillars, everything changed. Campaigns got simpler, the brand became clearer, and results stopped feeling random. And that's what I wanted to walk you through today. Once I realized my campaigns weren't landing, I did what most people do. I blamed the wrong things. It must be the algorithm. It must be the timing. It must be the creative. It must be the offer. And sure, sometimes those things matter a lot, but most of the time they are just symptoms. The real problem was simpler. My messaging had no structure. I was saying things that sounded good in the moment, but nothing that tied together. No through line. No strategic backbone, nothing consistent for the customer to latch onto. And when your messaging isn't anchored, it drifts. One campaign says one thing, the next one says something completely different. Your content is all over the place. Your ads try to be clever instead of clear. And customers who are already overloaded have no idea what they're supposed to take away from any of it. Most marketing doesn't fail because marketers aren't trying. It fails because the meaning behind the message isn't obvious. So, through all of that, that's when I realized if your messaging doesn't have structure, your brand won't have direction. And that's exactly why message pillars exist. Message pillars are not taglines. They are not slogans. They're not fancy lines you write during a brainstorm. Message pillars aren't the words you say. They're the ideas you want people to remember. They're the strategic anchors behind every communication. They shape how you talk. They shape how your brand sounds. They shape how you frame value. They shape how people talk about your brand when you're not in the room. A strong message pillar is simple, memorable, rooted in identity, and reinforced consistently. It's not something you rewrite every month. It's not something that changes with trends, and it's definitely not something built in isolation. Message pillars are built from what your audience actually cares about, who you are as a brand, the problems you solve, the value you deliver, and the moments that trigger demand. And when all of that aligns, your message stops feeling random. It feels intentional and, more importantly, repeatable. A brand becomes memorable the moment its message becomes consistent. When I build message pillars today, I don't think about them as lines that we want to use. I think of them as layers of meaning that all work together. There are 3 layers, and each one answers a different question. The first layer is brand messaging. This is the what do we want to be known for layer. Your philosophy, your beliefs, your point of view, the emotional value of choosing you. This rarely changes, and it shapes everything else. Next is production messaging. Why this product? And why now? This is where marketing either works or falls apart. Product messaging is not a feature list. It's not hype. It's not technical jargon. Product messaging answers 3 things. What problem does this solve? Why does this matter? What makes it different or better? That's it. Clarity converts. Then there's campaign messaging. What are we emphasizing right now? This is the only layer that changes frequently. Campaign messaging focuses on attention. It creates momentum. It highlights what matters in this moment. Brand is the foundation. Product is the structure. Campaign is the spotlight. When marketers mix these layers together, messaging gets all muddy. When they separate them out, everything starts clicking. So, here's the exact process I use to build strong pillars. First, start with what your customer actually cares about. Not what you want to talk about, not what sounds good to you, not what competitors are shouting. What do they actually care about the moment they enter your category? If you skip this part, everything becomes noise. Next, filter their priorities through your brand identity. This is where your message stops being generic. Ask, how do we solve this differently? What's our belief about this? What matters to us? Alignment creates differentiation. Then, translate the idea into simple, repeatable meaning. Not clever, not complicated, not poetic, just meaning. Something you can reinforce 100 different ways without sounding repetitive. And then, make sure it removes friction. Every category has friction. Whether it's confusion, doubt, overwhelm, risk, indifference. A good pillar reduces one of those. Finally, stress test for clarity. Ask, would the audience repeat this back to us? Does it reinforce who we are? Will it still matter next year? Is it simple enough for the team to use? If not, tighten it. Now, let me give you a few real world examples so this feels real. One example comes from Tier 1. When I first started, our messaging was everywhere. We talked about comfort, retention, lifestyle, performance, all good things, but with no meaning tying them together. As the brand identity became clearer, one of the natural message pillars that surfaced was preparedness is a lifestyle, not an accessory. We don't plaster that line everywhere or anywhere. That line isn't the pillar. The idea is. The idea shapes how we talk about the customer, how we talk about training, how we frame conceal carry, and the emotional reason people choose us. That's how a brand level pillar works. Now, here's a simpler example. Imagine you sell a productivity app. Most founders would shout features like all-in-one dashboard, powerful automation. But if your pillar is remove friction so you can focus, that instantly clarifies everything else. the UX, the positioning, the value. One pillar, clear meaning. Here's an example for an educational brand. A pillar like clarity creates momentum. Might not sound flashy, but it shapes your entire learning experience. Your frameworks are simple, your tone is calm, your ideas reduce overwhelm, your content builds confidence. People start to associate you with feeling clear, and clarity builds trust. These aren't slogans or catchphrases. They're the meaning behind your messaging. Once you start using message pillars consistently, something really interesting happens. Things stop feeling chaotic. Your content becomes easier. Your team becomes more aligned. Campaigns land more consistently. And customers finally understand why they should choose you. Nothing about the brand changes. It just becomes clearer. Because now, every piece of content reinforces the same ideas. Every product story fits into the same narrative. Every campaign feels like it belongs to the same brand. Before message pillars, everything felt like effort. After message pillars, everything started feeling like momentum. When your messaging becomes consistent, your brand becomes memorable. When I look back at those early campaigns, the ones that looked good but didn't mean anything, the reason was simple. I didn't have structure. I didn't have clarity. I did not have message pillars. Message pillars fix that. They tell you what matters. They give you direction. They make your brand easier to understand. They make your marketing easier to execute. If your messaging feels scattered, start with pillars. Start with meaning. Start with clarity. Everything after that gets easier. Thanks for watching. And if there's a part of messaging you want me to go deeper on, or if you want me to break down how I use these pillars to build content systems, let me know in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.